Okay, so our next topic, 2D or two-dimensional lists. So before we talk about that, let's talk about the weather. Here's the weather in San Diego right now. Currently, it's 74 degrees. And if we look at the temperatures for the week, it's going to be 77, highest at 77 today, and then 75, 74, 73, and it kind of goes back around. But let's say I want to go on vacation and I want to go up to Disneyland. So let's go to Anaheim. And we can see the high temperatures, currently it's 75, but high is 78, 81, 81. It's going to be a little bit warmer in Anaheim. Maybe I don't want to go to Anaheim. Maybe it's a little too hot for Disneyland. What about Vegas? I like going to Vegas. I actually like going to Vegas to eat. I don't gamble anymore because I worked for a casino company and I learned how bad that really is. So 95 degrees currently. I'm not sure I really want to go to Vegas. Let's see, 99 is their high today, 97, 88, 99, 102. But then again, if all I'm going to do is eat, maybe I don't need to worry about going outside. So stay in one place. Well, we have all these things in this, all this data, right? We have all these temperatures, and this is obviously I pre-wrote this because otherwise we'll be here all day. I pre-wrote this, and here we have the weather for each of these locations for a week with the max temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. And I put all these numbers and I created this table of temperatures so that I can kind of see them all in one spot. I can kind of compare them all together, and I could see maybe the best day to go to Anaheim is maybe Wednesday, because that's going to be the lowest temp day. And the best day to go to Vegas would be the end of the week. Or maybe I should just stay in San Diego as it gets cooler. Okay, so maybe I'd like to go on vacation and I want to be able to do some stuff with this, see what's in these numbers and stuff. And we could easily store all these numbers inside of a one-dimensional list, right? But how could we store this in a two-dimensional list? What if I want to store the weather of San Diego, I could just do a regular list, right? If I do the temperatures for San Diego, I could just write them all out in a single list without any problem. There's San Diego. We could store the other two cities as well. We could do another list for Anaheim. I could do another list for Las Vegas, and I have these three lists. But I mean, that's helpful. But I really want to store them in a single data structure. I want to store them in a single list. How can I store them in a single place? And it's very helpful to be able to do that. And that's what the two-dimensional list is for. So this is a 1D list. Now let's start talking about what a 2D list, a two-dimensional list, a table worth of data. And let me just draw these out again as a list. And there's San Diego. There's Anaheim. Here's Las Vegas. And you can see in that top row there, right? We have that whole thing as a single element in a single list. And then each of the others is basically an element in another list. That top row, that is a list. We can actually put that in another list. And then in the middle row, the Anaheim data, that's another list that we can put as the second element of a list. And then that last row, the Las Vegas list, we can put that inside of another list. And we can assign all of this to a single reference variable. And we've now created a two-dimensional list. A two-dimensional list in Python is a list of lists. It's just a list of lists. Each and every element in this list is another list. So let's recreate this information. And let's see, W data equals, a little hard to see. Let me make that tiny for a second. So we're going to create a list of 77, 77, 76, 74, 73. There's San Diego. That's the first entry. And the second entry, Anaheim, 85, 85, 78, 81, 81. There's my second list. And then my final entry is Vegas. By the way, if anybody here is living in Vegas and currently residing in Vegas, that's some serious hot weather. So this is 2D list. Okay, so now we have a two-dimensional list and we can print this thing out, print W data, and save that. And let's go ahead and run that. And so now we have our data right there, printed out, and just so we can see it all, we have a list, another list, and another list within this list. And we can say, well, what if I just want the data for San Diego? So there's the whole thing. Well, we said San Diego is the first entry in that list. And so there's the data for San Diego. Or if I want the data for Anaheim, that's the second entry. And then the final entry is the data for Las Vegas. Okay, so let's look at San Diego again. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Today is Wednesday. What is the weather in San Diego today? Well, we know San Diego is 0, but we also know the next thing is a list. And Wednesday is 0, 1, 2. Wednesday is 2. So if I want to get today's, I use bracket 0, bracket 2. That's going to give me this particular value. If we look at the top W data, or if we look at this, we have San Diego up here. That's bracket 0, first element. And then we look for Wednesday, which is the third element, or 0, 1, 2, index 2. So bracket 2. So bracket 0, bracket 2 gives us Wednesday of San Diego. And what about Anaheim? Maybe I want to plan a trip. Well, you guys are taking your midterm. I'm going to Disneyland. That seems fair? I like that. So maybe on Friday. Well, what's Friday in Anaheim? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. What's the temperature? Anaheim Friday, 81. That might be a little warm, but I could live with that, especially if I'm on a lot of rides. So this is how you store data, though, in a two-dimensional list. And you don't have to put it on multiple lines. It's actually easier to read on multiple lines, but you could also put it on a single line and it'll still work. I think personally it's easier to read, but it still prints out the same thing regardless. It's just a list of lists. I'm going to put it back on multiple lines because it stays on my screen better. And notice that the way actually Python did this for me, or IDLE did this for me, it actually formatted it so they're aligned. I didn't actually space over, but IDLE did it for me. And so that is what we call a two-dimensional list. A two-dimensional list, another way of thinking of a two-dimensional list is a Google spreadsheet or Microsoft Excel. You have a table type of data. That's a two-dimensional list. Multiple columns and rows. And we're going to talk more about columns and rows in a minute.